So I've tried to curate a little poetic experience for you guys. So I have little pieces of songs interspersed with my poems, and I also have paintings. The songs are not mine. You'll figure that out pretty quickly. The paintings are mine, and most of them were made over the years, not really specifically for this event, but one poster was made specifically for the poem, and you'll know when you see that one. So yeah, let's read some poems.
Yay.
Let's read some poems.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay. All right, so this first one is the first poem in my third book. It's called To the Reader, or in this case, To the Listener, which is you guys. Please allow me liberties, forgive my blunders, and grant the artistic license to bend the rules, or bend the space, or bend the physics into metaphors. Take this pair of dice Einstein didn't believe in, and roll with me through all our entangled states. We've come a long way from stardust to here, where we'll traverse the verses of our universes. Expect not all lines to make sense, accept all meanings that ring true. Truth being, the poetry is not in my hands. The poems are not poems without you.
Yes.
Nice fade out.
All right. That was a little piece of a song by Nightmare on Wax called You Wish. I heard it here the first time, and that's part of why I wanted to add that in here. Okay, so this next triad of poems is from a time when I was in what I like to call a yo-yo relationship. You know, you're fighting, you love each other, let's get engaged, let's never talk again, like that kind of thing. So that's where these three poems come from. They're all in my third book called Entanglements, and the first poem is called Blame. There's anger first, right after the incident that neither of us knows how to talk about properly, the 0 point. There's no point in arguing because neither of us will ever agree with the other's point. We walk away in opposite directions. There's a brief time between the anger and the loneliness. The loneliness sets in, and the moment comes when you need just one person in the world to turn to, but the only person in the world you wish to turn to is the only person in the world you cannot turn to. This moment is a failing organ. The room is colder than usual, and you don't know whether it is you or the room, but the coldness is the same. You end the night wondering whether it is you or me to blame, but the ending is the same. This next one is a short one called Heartache. A dull, cliched lump, broken and displaced, somewhere between the chest and the throat, somewhere deep inside the atoms, most likely between electrons and nuclei, where all that emptiness holds apart. And this one is called Bouquet. They each wilt, heads drooped low and tired. They're dry inside from the forenight when their lifeblood left them. Maybe crutches of baby's breath, or the notion thereof, could hold their ids up. Still, their egos sulk. Silken red milk petals, scarlet velvet bouquet. I see what you could be if you'd loosen the leaves and the lefts and the leavings. If only your crimson staying that beautifies with age could keep you here. If only you'd stay if you'd allow it. Okay. So this poem is called His Is Mine. They say when you hold a conch shell to your ear, you can hear the ocean. Some believe it's really the echo of your own blood rushing through your body. The shape of a conch shell somewhat resembles a human heart if you hold it to your chest. Held there, the heart hears its echo. In the morning, I tuck myself under his arm and place my ear to his chest. He is tired in the morning as well as the afternoon and evening now. He didn't ask for this illness, nor did any ocean ask to be trapped inside a shell. His heart rate is slowest in the morning, and I hear it when my ear cups to his chest. This morning, I hear a strange rhythm. Are these heart palpitations? There are far too many beats, yet the rhythm is in time. Oh, I realize, I'm hearing two hearts, his and my own, answering one another like echoes, like the Atlantic and Pacific folding at the seam, the way you'd fold a piece of paper to make one symmetrical heart. So this triad of poems is for the moms and dads in the audience. Anyone have children when I raise their hand? My children. Okay. So the painting is of my second born. His name's Chance. And the poem's related to becoming a first-time mom, so it's also related to my firstborn named Briggs. This is called Spoken New. It arrives torn and needs to be replaced, I explain. And whose birth certificate is it? The clerk asks. My voice cracks to hatch the phrase, my new son's. Does anyone even say new son? My discomfort has the same wide eyes as it did the first time I said, when I was a kid. And my voice has the same wobbly legs as it did when I declared my husband my husband. These familiar words sound different when they come from my own mouth. They unfold from my tongue to form a line between myself and the girl I will never be again. Okay, this is the newest one out of all of my poems. Probably like 2 years old now, but it's new enough. Can I get a new shit? This is called Mom's Day Out. Outside, a boomer finger picks a guitar below his brimmed hat at the end of a restaurant patio. It is summer, just as it was every time I grew up in New Jersey, camping with a trillion sparkles on the Delaware River, with the railroad men of my family jamming on fireside guitars and bongos. Inside, it's mostly winter, where the glazed ponds and lakes are hard to crack, like poetry, and my father. Likes math and eggs, but won't take the last one from your refrigerator, even with permission. I always wondered whether I was allowed to do art beyond childhood unless it churned cash as much as it churned me. So I write poems in the dark, hoping someone will look for them when I'm gone. Except for today, a day off at a restaurant in Colorado, under a Jersey-like sky, listening to Hotel California on this old man's guitar, while my two babies play at home with the sitter. I wonder how I got here, even though I was there the whole way here. And I am told I'll miss my babies when they're grown, even though I already miss them for one brunch alone, remembering who I was, wondering who I am, and hoping to keep them free enough that they'll know exactly who to be.
Nice.
2 poems left. This one is called There Was a World Before. And it's based on a photograph of my grandmother when she was maybe 2 or 3 years old, looking at something in a flower patch. There was a world before. There was a world before me, where my grandmother was not yet a grandmother, or even a mother, but a child in a patch of flowers, in a small dress with tiny hands. She sat with her legs folded beneath her, leaning to one side, examining something too small to see in a photograph. The assuming eye might call it a flower, but the inquisitive wonder whether it was something smaller, something only of interest to new eyes and new hands. A blade of grass, a pebble, a lost button, something only she will ever know and probably does not remember. She held it in her new eyes and new hands then, well before now, well before me. There was a world before me, where my grandparents' basement smelled like my grandparents' basement, before my nose was a thing, where my mother played as a child before she knew the meaning of daughter. There was a world before you and me, where no one knew our influence, or felt our touch, or moved on our behalf, where we inspired no mind, no hand, where we were not remembered. Let's refuse to leave it that way.
Yes. Woo!
Okay, So this is a song, or a poem some of you have heard before, and I like to end on this one often. It's called Brewing, and it's not about beer. It is amazing how we can take and give back to the world as fire takes and gives back to wind. But there are flames of a different form inside us. For like fire, we breathe oxygen, but unlike fire, we are not stifled by the wind. We can take all of it in and make something of it. Like every time you've ever hit a straight on the river and all the other times deuces beat your aces. Like every night you've spent awake with clenched eyelids staining your pillowcase, and every morning you've ever woken up with swollen eyes and a smile on your face. Because to the human soul, experience is a synonym for inspiration. I'm talking about earning both sides of every penny. They're all lucky. Some just happen to land face down the same way we all fall flat on our faces sometimes, but listen. Breaking up is the static saying, find a better connection. Hitting bottom keeps you grounded. Coming up with new ways to cut corners when you have to keeps you well-rounded. Every night we turn our backs to the sun, it's still shining when we finally come around. And when you finally come around, you'll quit looking on the bright side and start living on it. So here's to that identity, to that quality of humanity, the ability to take the ingredients of the world and brew poetry. Here's to every stroke it takes to stir the pot, to knowing whether it's ready or not. Here's to finally reaching out to the world, saying, open up and taste this.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap, guys. Thank you guys so much. This was
Thank
an honor.